Welcome to Poddy, April 12th, 2026. A deep dive. Alright, so we're diving deep today into something that honestly sounds like science fiction but is very much reality. Anthropic just dropped an AI model called Mythos that can find and exploit zero-day vulnerabilities. That's undiscovered security flaws across every major operating system and browser. We're talking about an AI that can literally hack systems autonomously. And then there's this whole Project Glasswing initiative that brings together tech giants and government agencies. My take? This is one of those moments where the cybersecurity landscape just fundamentally shifted overnight.
Wait, hold on. When you say it can find 0 days autonomously, are we talking about an AI that's actually discovering brand new vulnerabilities that nobody knew existed? Like, it's not just using some database of known exploits, it's actually finding new ones.
Exactly. That's what makes this so significant. So Anthropic's Claude Mythos Preview, that's the full name, can find zero-day vulnerabilities in real open-source codebases. These are flaws that security researchers, bug bounty hunters, and even the original developers haven't spotted yet. But it doesn't stop there. The model can also exploit these vulnerabilities. And here's where it gets really interesting. It can reverse engineer exploits on closed-source software. So even if you can't see the source code, this AI can figure out how to break into it.
That's genuinely terrifying. So you're telling me this AI can look at software, find flaws that humans missed, and then figure out how to actually exploit them? What's the scale we're talking about here? Because finding 1 or 2 vulnerabilities is one thing, but
Yeah, so the headlines are claiming thousands of zero-day vulnerabilities across every major operating system and every major web browser. Now, I want to be careful here because some of this is coming from headline-level reporting. But even if we're talking about a fraction of that number, we're still looking at a massive scale. What really stands out to me is that this isn't just about finding vulnerabilities. The model can also take what are called end-day vulnerabilities, which are known but not yet widely patched, and turn those into working exploits. So it's both a discovery engine and an exploitation engine.
okay, so let me make sure I understand the implications here. If this AI can find thousands of 0 days, that means there are potentially thousands of ways to break into systems that we didn't even know existed. But here's what I don't get. Why would Anthropic create something this dangerous? What's the reasoning behind building an AI that's essentially a super hacker?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And this is where things get really interesting, because there's already pushback on this. One headline I saw basically called it a sales pitch rather than a genuine security tool. My read is that Anthropic is positioning this as a defensive tool. The idea being that if you can find vulnerabilities at this scale, you can patch them before the bad guys find them. It's like the classic white hat versus black hat hacker debate, but supercharged with AI. The question is whether that reasoning holds up when you're talking about a tool this powerful.
That makes sense in theory, but I'm thinking about the practical implications. If this AI can find thousands of 0 days, what happens when someone with malicious intent gets their hands on similar technology? Are we basically in an arms race now where the good guys and bad guys are both using AI to hack each other?
You're absolutely right to be concerned about that. And that brings us to Project Glasswing, which I think is Anthropic's answer to exactly that question. So Project Glasswing is this new cybersecurity initiative that brings together some heavy hitters. We're talking Amazon Web Services. Anthropic, obviously, Apple, Broadcom, Cisco, CrowdStrike, Google, JP Morgan Chase, and the Linux Foundation. That's a pretty impressive coalition of tech companies and infrastructure providers. My take is that this is recognition that the threat landscape just fundamentally changed, and they need to coordinate a response at scale.
So essentially, they're saying we created this incredibly powerful hacking tool. But don't worry, we're also creating this industry coalition to defend against it. That seems like, well, it seems like they're creating the problem and the solution at the same time. Is that a cynical way to look at it?
I don't think that's cynical at all. I think that's exactly what's happening here. And honestly, that's what makes this whole situation so fascinating and concerning at the same time. On one hand, you could argue that someone was going to build this capability eventually, so it's better that a company with at least some safety focus, like Anthropic, did it first. On the other hand, you're right that they've essentially weaponized vulnerability discovery and then said, trust us, we'll use it responsibly. The fact that they immediately launched this industry coalition suggests they know how dangerous this is.
What really gets me is the scale aspect. Like, human security researchers might find a few 0 days in their career if they're really good. But in AI finding thousands? That's not just a quantitative change. That feels like a qualitative shift in how cybersecurity works. How do you even defend against something that can find vulnerabilities faster than humans can patch them?
That's exactly the right question, and I think it gets to why this is such a watershed moment. We've moved from a world where vulnerability discovery was limited by human time and expertise to a world where it's limited by compute power and AI capabilities. And here's what really concerns me. If Anthropic can build this, so can nation-state actors. So can criminal organizations with enough resources. The genie is out of the bottle now. What stands out to me is that this isn't just about finding more vulnerabilities, it's about finding them at a speed and scale that makes traditional patch management obsolete.
So, what should people actually do with this information? I mean, if there are potentially thousands of 0 days out there that this AI found, and we don't know which ones are in which systems, how do you protect yourself?
Great question. My take is that this reinforces some fundamental security principles, but with new urgency. First, assume breach. Operate under the assumption that your systems will be compromised. Because with AI-powered vulnerability discovery, they probably will be. Second, defense in depth becomes even more critical. You can't rely on perfect patching anymore. And third, this is a wake-up call for organizations to get serious about zero-trust architecture and continuous monitoring. But honestly, for individual users and smaller organizations, this is mostly about staying on top of updates and hoping the good guys find the vulnerabilities before the bad guys do. If you want to dig deeper into this, I'd recommend following the actual research from Anthropic and keeping an eye on how Project Glasswing develops. This story is just getting started.